I have 5 questions that I wish to ask, and the first 4 of those only require a yes or no answer. They're all for you, Taoiseach, and the last one might require a little bit further. I'd ask for the indulgence of the Chair. Can I ask you, Taoiseach, yes or no, that in your pre-budget considerations, commentary, proposals, or indeed manifestos in the relevant period, did you ever propose expenditure cuts and tax increases?
Yes.
Can you give examples of that for us?
Yes, we've done this now with broadening the tax base in respect of property charges and water charges.
No, I'm talking about the relevant period, in the run into the election in 2007.
Yes, is the answer. We proposed expenditure cuts, particularly.
In what?
In relation to the benchmarking process, in relation to the whole idea of what was coming through.
And what portion of the 17.4 billion increase in current expenditure outlined in the Fine Gael manifesto, how could you say that that constitutes a proposed decrease in expenditure, Taoiseach?
Well, the position was that we accepted the figures for growth from the ESRI and the Department.
You were proposing the reduction of tax to 18%. How could that be constituted as an increase in taxation?
You're asking me 5 yes or no answers, and you're making.
No, but it's just I've watched an element of, you know, political manoeuvring over the last number of questions, and I just want to get specifically to the facts.
Sorry, the first yes or no answer is that yes, we did propose cuts in public expenditure,
but just not in the manifesto.
In social partnership, in proper analysis of major infrastructural overruns, and in a situation where there was no scrutiny or delivery in terms of what people were expected to for their money. The answer
okay, I'll move on there. Taoiseach, how is it credible for you and your colleagues, with clean hands, to criticise the previous government on expenditure and taxation when you call for more expenditure and less taxation? I mean, how is this credible? I mean, would your policies of the day not have led to an even harder landing in the crisis?
I've dealt with those questions.
No, yes or no? I'd like it again, because I mustn't have been listening.
I'll afford you plenty of time, Senator. There'll be no difficulty there, Taoiseach.
Thanks, Chairman.
Well, we've dealt with that question earlier on. That I don't accept that the model that we were following here is an economic model where you had competitiveness central to what you do. You had a lean focus on value for money, and we repeated that on so many occasions. And I go back again to the major issues of the way government conducted its business: social partnership, secrecy, removed away from the Oireachtas scrutiny, the whole idea of decentralisation, which are costing billions, and benchmarking with no analysis for reform or delivery in terms of the taxpayers' money.
As my colleague has said earlier, and he's outlined for you that those particular measures would have been a couple of billion. Nevertheless, your manifesto, policy, and all of your line spokespeople or shadow ministers of the day were calling for more expenditure and less taxation in all those private members' motions on animal health and all those vital issues of the time. Nothing on regulation, though I did note from the manifesto in 2007 a 25% reduction in the regulatory burden. I mean, is it not fair to say, Taoiseach, that what we're talking about in here is a fabrication of the facts of the day? Would your policies not have led to a harder landing? Yes or no?
Senator, the question is leading.
No, they wouldn't. That's fine. Given your criticisms about the social and recreational contacts between previous governments and developers, the Galway tent, which we have spoken so much about in here, and so on, can you inform the committee if you have ever accepted hospitality from a developer in the form of transport by road or air?
What do you mean by road? You mean getting a lift from somebody?
I'll ask the question again. Did you ever accept hospitality from a developer in the form of transport by road or air?
Deputy, I've travelled so many places by road and air over the years. Tell me what you're talking about.
No, I'm merely asking the question. Have you ever? So it's a yes or no, I
Does that mean that if I travel from Dublin to Mullingar with a developer that I have to answer yes?
I presume it does. I don't know. You tell me. Did you travel with developers? Did you travel with developers? Did they give you lifts? Did they bring you on planes?
I always had my own car. I never had a plane, and I never will have one.
So is the answer no or yes? I mean, it's a simple question, Chairman.
You must have a basis for your question.
The witness is entitled
The basis for the question is, and we've been consistent, Taoiseach, and I'm sure your advisors can tell you, that we've asked these kinds of questions of everybody of a political nature in here, from all parties and none. So I'll ask the question again. Have you ever accepted any hospitality from a developer by way, as you put it yourself, a lift in a car, a flight on a plane, a lift on a private jet, or so on? Yes or no? Helicopter? Yes or no?
Can I ask you what you define?
No, I'm asking the questions, Taoiseach.
Sorry, if I just can intervene, the legal advice I have is that what you got the Deputy Art Centre can ask the question he wishes. Yes or no is a direction to tell the witness how to respond. The witness is entitled to make his own position on how they will respond and to assist in getting the fullest answer possible if there are particular matters rather than a generality. If that can be put, it would certainly help the situation here.
Okay. I appreciate and note the legal advice. Having said that, Taoiseach, I'm putting the question the same way. Yes or no, the affirmative or the positive, have you ever accepted hospitality from a developer by way of transport by road or air?
Deputy, during the course of my time as opposition leader, we would have hired transport, air transport occasionally, to get from one part of the country to the other. I have never gone around asking developers, saying, would you give me a lift here, there, or everywhere. I've always tended to have my own transport. And I can be clear on this, I have never sought hospitality or transport from a developer for that purpose. This is, if I say to you, I travel 200 yards in a car with a developer, what do you mean by that? Is this a contractor who builds 5 houses or 200 houses or 5,000 houses or whatever? The question is ridiculous. If you have an issue, then you should tell me directly.
Chairman.
Because
the question is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
I've travelled on
surely I can have the protection as chair and the legal advice of the committee.
I've given my legal advice on this. The question has been made. The witness can respond to it, and unless we can move into a specific on this, I don't know. I think we will just be in a circular place on it. Okay?
Chairman, I would assume that the senator, in asking his question, is perfectly entitled to ask the question. That obviously he's got some basis for it. Let me be quite clear to your committee. I have never been in the business of looking for hospitality or transport from people by air or by road. We've tended to travel on the roads.
We'll move on. I have 2 further questions. Taoiseach, isn't it true that from the outset that you have potentially endangered the integrity of this inquiry by loaded comments about, to quote you, the axis of collusion between Fianna Fáil and the banks?
No.
Okay. Final question. Why did you change the configuration of the original committee when the government did not secure a majority?
That was because of a decision taken by the Senate, of which you were an esteemed member yourself, and obviously regularised the position from what was originally intended.
Did you contact the leader of the Senate from the United States, where you were on a trip at the time, and say to him, take MacSharry out?
I would never say take MacSharry out. I've had many discussions with your good father about politics and the west of Ireland and all the rest of it, and far be it from me to attempt to make a decision that people have as their democratic right at the end of the day. What I did want to do was we had set up and this is very, you're an independent committee, to set it up with a particular structure. That intended structure was somewhat changed by a decision in the Senate, and I just wanted to put it back to what was originally intended. And that did not mean the demise of Senator Marc.
Yeah, and just very finally, can I ask that in that context, did people in Fine Gael and government parties, other than senators, prescribe what was to happen in that process? No. Such as yourself, for example.
No. We had set out numbers to attend on the Committee of Inquiry.
9, and then you made it 11. Yes. Why was that?
Because a decision was taken, I think, in the Senate that changed that intended structure. So I wanted to regularise the position, and that was the reason why.
To secure a government majority.
But you've acted...
or not. I mean, tell me, if that's not the reason, that's not the reason. But I'm asking, was it the reason?
God is my judge here, Senator. The 4 members from my party who attend here, I have never spoken to them about anything to do with your Commission of Inquiry. You are entirely independent, and I wrote to them to that effect, and they can confirm that to you.
Now that there's a majority for the government, of course.
But you're not operating on that basis. I assume you do your business your own way.
Everyone leaves their jerseys at the door, Taoiseach.
But as I said, far be it from me, Senator, for you to ask me a question, would it be my intention to take out another West of Ireland man from the job that you're doing? That's not. That's the ridiculous question.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Taoiseach.
Thank you very much.